Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and welcome back to Black American Lineage. It's a lot going on in America, so much that we can hardly keep up with it. But for our sake, we have to keep up with whatever is going on. Thank you for your support. Thank you for all you do to support this channel. And today, I think this is good news. The women of the 688 Battalion are going to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor. Now, this is a day late and a dollar short because they did that work during World War II, which ended in 1945. So it's 75 or 80 years late. But it's better late than never. I don't believe that if Tyler Perry hadn't done that popular movie about these ladies, I don't believe that they would even have been thought of. They would just be wouldn't even be an afterthought. But thankfully, he made the movie, and now they're going to get the honor and the recognition that they earned way back during World War II. Black Female World War II Unit, the 6888, will receive the Congressional Gold Medal. The 6888 was sent overseas in 1945 when there was growing pressure from African American organizations to include black women. The only black all female unit to serve in Europe during World War II, commonly known as the 6888, will be presented with a Congressional Gold Medal following a long running campaign to recognize their efforts. It's a shame that there had to be a long running campaign to recognize their efforts because what they did was organize a postal service overseas so that the servicemen could get mail from their families. They were over there away from home. Some of them had never been away from home before in a foreign land fighting a battle that they really didn't know what they were over there fighting for, and they couldn't even get mail. They had tons of mail stacked up in warehouses on those bases in Europe. Men were asking if they had gotten any letters from home, and they didn't know what to tell them because they didn't even have a system for sorting the mail and giving it to the soldiers. Back in the United States, families were frantic. Parents were desperate to hear something about their children, their sons, because it was mostly a male army. Were they dead or were they alive? They didn't know. In the movie, one mother went there and sat outside the White House gates for weeks trying to get a word with the president to say, we need to hear from our children. We haven't heard from our children since they left home. So the government then knew that they had to do something about that mail situation overseas. The 6888 Central Postal Directory Battalion was credited with solving a growing mail crisis during its stint in England and, upon its return, serving as a role model to generations of black women who joined the military. No, what they did was showed you how to sort mail. They showed you how to sort and distribute mail, which you didn't know how to do. Yeah, they were an inspiration to black women, but they were of use to the United States military. The unit cleared out a backlog of about 17 million pieces of mail in 3 months, twice as fast as projected. It would go on to serve in France before returning home. And like many black units during World War II, its exploits never got the attention afforded its white counterparts until now. No, because if they had been a battalion of white women, we would have been reading about them in the history books. We would have been making sentences about them in English and never would have heard the end of it. But because they were black, we're just now hearing about it 80 years later. At a ceremony scheduled to be held in Emancipation Hall at the Capitol Visitor Center, House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican Louisiana, and others will present the medal to the family of the unit commander, Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams Early. Kim Geis, Senior Curator and Director of Curatorial Affairs at the National World War II Museum, said there are only two women living from the 855 who served in the unit. So they didn't even get a chance to know what they had done in their lifetime, not from the government. So they did all of that work and were not even given the decency of being honored and recognized for the work that they had done and for the service that they had given to the country. That really shows how long this recognition took, guys said. It is really important to recognize the accomplishments of these women and what they went through to serve this country in wartime. Wisconsin Representative Win Moore, who co-sponsored legislation to award the medal to the 6888 Central Postal Directory Battalion, called it a long overdue honor for the women in the unit. Yes, it is. These heroes deserve their dues, and I am so glad this story is being told. Moore, a Democrat, told the Associated Press, I am especially honored to ensure my constituent, Miss Anna Mae Robinson, and the many others who served with her are recognized for their selfless service. In 2022, Congress voted 422-0 to bestow its highest honor on the 6888. Its overwhelming retired Major Fanny Griffin McClendon, who lives in Arizona, told the Associated Press after the vote, "It's something I never even thought about." Isn't that something? She never even thought about it. She just did it. She just did what was right. She served this country, even though this country does everything it can not to give us the credit for the service that we provide. McClendon joined the Air Force after the military was integrated and retired in 1971. She was the first female to command an all-male squadron with the Strategic Air Command. The 6888 was sent overseas in 1945 when there was growing pressure from African American organizations to include black women in what was called the Women's Army Corps. They call them WAC, the Women's Army Corps. So I guess that's what that was for, and allowed them to join their white counterparts overseas. They kept hollering about wanting us to go overseas, so I guess they found something for us to do overseas. Take care of the mail, McClendon said. And there was an awful lot of mail. They expected we were going to be there about 2 or 3 months trying to get it straightened out. Well, I think in about a month and a half, we had it all straightened out and going in the right direction. Well, all right then. The 6888 toiled around the clock processing about 65,000 pieces of mail in each of the 3 shifts. It created a system using locator cards with the service member's name and unit number to ensure mail was delivered. So they got that mail delivered in record time, and even the higher ups were surprised because remember, they think black people can't read. They think they can do a lot of things better than we can, and they really can't. But for people who say, I wouldn't join the military, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that, they just did that because of this. When we do things, when we go through these storms, that is what gives us our agency. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes these trials. Nobody likes this hard work. Nobody likes oppression or discrimination. But you come out of it better because you come out of it knowing that you can do it. It builds your self esteem. And again, it builds our agency in the United States. And nobody has the agency in this country that we have. But it was built by the enslaved people, the inventors, the people who served in the military, the revolutionaries, the people in education, the people in science. All of it put together is what makes us who we are. And that is something to be proud of. I'm proud of these women. I'm glad they did it. I hate they had to go through what they had to go through, just like I hate we continue to have to go through these battles. But I'm glad they weathered the storm and came out on top. And I am very proud for them to receive this Congressional Medal of Honor. Congresswoman Gwen Moore addressed the bravery of these women during the ceremony, and I'm going to let you hear what she had to say.
And today, indeed, the 6888 Battalion were these unsung heroes who served their country. And they did it because they were patriotic, not because they thought that they would ever get any recognition. And now, 80 years later, after they were deployed to Europe, This ceremony is a fitting end to a long journey to make sure that we do not forget their service. And none of them did it for glory. They did it for the love of country. And the story reminds us so much that while there's much that divides our country today, there's even more that joins us together. And like a commitment to service, a commitment to doing something bigger than yourself, to live voluntarily, to go into service in a war zone, even in the face of segregation at home. We want to thank the women of the 688 from all over the nation, the 855 women who served, for their service. They're women like my constituent who is still alive, a young 101 years old, Private Anna Mae Robertson of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. As one reporter noted in one of the many stories about these remarkable women, quote, "The 688 was an experiment, a pass-fail test to determine the value Black women brought to the military." And let me say, today, all of us bear witness to their impeccable, remarkable performance, their commitment to freedom, and that's why we're able to gather here today in Emancipation Hall, to celebrate their legacy. Thank you so much.
Okay, y'all, let me know what you think about the video. Give me a thumbs up and have a great day.